Welcome back to the Yo Hockey Show, and last night was Game 1 of the Seattle Kraken versus the Joe Pavelskis as the game ends 5-4 after Joe Pavelski can't get the fifth one in and get the overtime winner, and the Stars lose the game to the Kraken, and the Seattle team take the 1-0 series lead after Game 1, and like I said, this is going to be the best series in this entire tournament because, wow, just wow. Like I said, this was a thrilling game, fun back and forth, good goaltending, bad goaltending, good defense, bad, great offense, exciting, hits, no hits, whatever you want to say, skilled moves, big shots, big moments, big players, all showing up in this game. One to start the series. Exciting stuff to see, and it's so fun to watch. But Seattle, at the end of the day, comes up with the win, and I don't know what to think about this game because this is one of those times where I feel like I don't want to say the scoreboard lies because sometimes the scoreboard you can't, but like it's sure the score was 5-1, but it was way closer than that, and the one team just robbed the other one, or the goaltender shut them down. The other team had like 10 more shots than the other, something like that, you know. But in this scenario, I don't know what to think about this game, because on one hand, you could be a Seattle hater, and you could say that, sure, their four goals were all within a span of 3 minutes and 55. Okay, I guess 3 of their goals were in the span of 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So they were all over the Stars, and Joe Pavelski scored one of the goals within that time frame as well. So you could say like Seattle hung into this game just by sheer like just having a great 4 minutes of hockey. You could say that they had 4 minutes of amazing hockey where they were unstoppable for 4 minutes straight, and everyone was clicking, and they were superstars, and it's like they were Mario, and they got the star and had the rainbow power of invincibility for 4 minutes, right? You could say that on one hand, but on the other hand, it's not like Dallas was packing any heat really until Joe Pavelski was just like, I am back and I am Captain America to the rescue, and he scores 4 goals this game. Incredible. I don't know what to think about it. I usually am like Toronto lost the game because they just no one wanted to be a hero and they didn't want to be the man or whatever, something like that. Well, this team, Dallas had a man who was like, I'm not losing, and Seattle had an amazing few minutes of play. And other than that, I'd say the game was pretty even for all means. In the second period, no goals were scored, and the Stars, they seemed to be, the Stars kind of looked like they took over in the halfway point, but to start the second, Seattle was in control, but this period, no one scored a goal, so it was blank. Third period was all Dallas, but then with Joe Pavelski scoring 2 of his goals, getting the 4-goal game there, and Seattle hasn't scored a goal since that 3 minutes and 55 seconds of unstoppability. And then in overtime was interesting. I do think that Seattle was in charge of overtime, but Dallas did have a few pretty good looks, but I think Seattle was in control, and they get the very overtime ending goal with I don't want to say lucky bounce or a bad shot or something like that, but it was a very overtime goal where the puck's just kind of bouncing, it goes off of a stick right onto another stick, and the guy just shoots the puck right at the net, and those are the type of shots that always end in overtime. Overtime's never ended. The ones that end in a good goal in overtime are the ones that make the highlight reels, and when you see all the highlights on the internet all day, every day, when you watch the best playoff goals ever. The bad ones are the ones how they usually go in. It's just a really dumb shot, and it just gets past the goaltender. Speaking of goaltenders tonight, Philip Grubauer and Jake Ottinger were interesting. Neither one was really fantastic, but I would say neither of them was really that bad. I mean, Ottinger, like I can say, is like, you can say you just had him and the Stars as a whole had a bad 4 minutes, right? They had a bad 4 minutes to start not start, but in the first period, and then they all buckled down, right? He didn't let in another goal for another 2 periods, and then finally in overtime, just a shot that he can't see. He has no idea where it's coming from, just beats him, right? Like, you can't blame him for that overtime goal. So, like, for Ottinger, he was still pretty good. Like I said, just another bad 4 minutes of play for the Stars. And then for Philip Grubauer, I mean, the goals that he let in against Pavelski, I mean, 2 of them were tips that were freaking unbelievable. I mean, being a Sharks fan, I know all about that Joe Pavelski's tip job, and he's the best tipper in the world. So, in history, the commentators had fun talking about him and all that. I've known that for years. He's amazing that he can deflect a shot that's like 17 feet away from, okay, maybe not 17, but all the way far from the net, and he can tip it at such an angle that'll just beat the goaltender. Not even the goaltender, just the post even, like the line. It's incredible what this guy can do. So can you blame him for those goals? The first goal that Pavelski scored, just kind of getting the puck, ripping it from like the outside of the circles. I feel like a lot of goals have gone in like that, and from that distance and that type of shot and that just clean shot that he has, and there's another player in the zone as well, you can't really blame Grubauer for that one either. That's such a hard shot, and a guy who's obviously on a determined night. Like, you know that was the best shot that's, like, maybe happened in the playoffs at this point. Just freaking rips it. Grubauer, you can't really blame him for that one. So there's 3 goals right there that you can't really blame Grubauer for, and Ottinger. So goaltending was not really the issue this game. This is just a fascinating game to watch. It was fantastic to watch. Good teams on both ends, and yeah, so I don't know. I don't really know how. I can't explain why one team lost and another team won like I can usually. Usually I'm like, this and this reason. This team looked lazy. They had bad positioning. Overall, I mean, you can blame Dallas for losing this one for being pretty bad for 4 minutes straight. But, I mean, a team recovers from that, and they tied up the game, you know? So, really, my thing that Dallas didn't win is because it's not, but I don't want to say no one else is kicking, because guys like Domi, he had 3 assists. He was clearly buzzing, and I know it's because he's on the same line as Pavelski, but he looked pretty good. He had a killer shot. It's not like the whole team sucked. Robertson, he just couldn't get a good look at the net sometimes. His shot would be blocked, or he just wouldn't have the best position to shoot it. Rupe Hintz had a couple good chances, but then shut down by Grubauer. So the Stars as a whole you can't blame. Seattle looked freaking incredible. I want to say this before, I'm sure everyone's tuned away by now, but I'm going to say this. Seattle, this was showing them how they can act. You know what this game was? This was them finally being able to breathe. They can finally move their legs and play offense. They had to play all the defense in the world for the entire game against the Avalanche with Makar or McKinnon or Rantanen and Lekin and even the other guys on the ice like Rodriguez. Yes, I do, like, they won that series, but they were playing defense the entire time, and they had to look for their chances. This game, like I said in my video, and I was kind of like, maybe not, but they did it, where they finally got to breathe and play offense. They got to be in the O-zone and move the puck around and skate and move their legs. They can finally stretch their legs and actually play offense and take some chances, and it was so fun to watch. These 2 teams against each other make some amazing hockey, and this just shows that Avalanche series, the Kraken were good going into the playoffs, but that series turned them from dust into diamonds, and they looked incredible tonight. And it almost didn't even go to overtime. If Beniers could have just shot in the wide open net, he had come all of the net. He had like at 75% of the net wide open, and he just shot it just off the post. There was everywhere else to shoot it. He could have just picked it up and just like curled it into the net. Like, I don't know what he was doing there. He could have sent that one home before it went to overtime, but he did not. So physically, they also led physically, they led in shots and speed and intensity. Seattle was all over it. They definitely looked like the better team this game. Dallas didn't look like pushovers by any means. Just the rest of the team couldn't really get anything going. And for me, for Dallas, they feel like the type of team that takes a game to kind of get in the groove of it. I also got to say, mentally speaking, I mean, I know if you've ever played hockey, or even a sport or like some sort of like competition, and you're mentally prepared for a certain team, if I'm Dallas, you probably are expecting Avalanche to win that series, right? And mentally, they're probably thinking, okay, get ready. I got to go up against McCarr and McKinnon and Rantanen. I got to be ready for all this freaking fire onslaught. And then you get the Kraken. So I bet in the Dallas Stars' mind, they were probably like, okay, we got the better of the two teams that we'd probably want. We don't want to face the Avalanche. We can probably cool down. We're the better team. We're going to go in there skilled. And I think they were upset. I think they weren't prepared for Seattle to have the speed of the Avalanche by the looks of it. All four lines, like their strength is, were buzzing. And they were going, and I think it's really surprised Dallas. So I think this is the type of game that they did against Minnesota as well, where they kind of gauge their enemy, and they win the first game like Minnesota did. And I think next game they're going to come back and being like, okay, we know what we need to do now. I think Peter DeBoer, being a Sharks fan, watching him play, will coach the Sharks. I feel he's very adjustmentative, I think. And I think a lot of people are against him. But I really think that he's a very good coach at adjusting and to the other team that he's playing against. And I think that next game, like they did in the series against Minnesota, they're going to bounce back. So really, I think they're going to bounce back in game 2, and they've gauged their enemy. They know what to expect. They know what to prepare for, and I think it's going to happen. So this game, I don't know. Usually I'm like, they lost because of this and this, but this game I can't say that. I think each game in this series is going to be fascinating. I think you have to look at it in a vacuum because you can't really fault any team. Like if you remove those 4 minutes from the Seattle Kraken, then the game is 4-1. So there you go. If you remove 4 minutes, now those 4 minutes did happen. It's 4-4, and they get the goal in overtime from a sloppy play. So it is what it is. Game's over. I'm excited for Game 2 tomorrow, and it was fascinating. So I know I'm not saying much really, but that's all I got to say. So until next time, thank you for watching this. If you've made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription, please. And until next time, too sweet, have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.